Trump is getting the best, the best, the best, the best of you. Here comes the ready or not. You know I play this podium round.
Treat you right, treat father, mother right.
Have the strength.
I comprehend. Look me. No.
This is happening. This is happening.
No.
It's already happening.
I don't want
The train
this.
has left the station.
I don't want to do this.
It's left the station.
I don't want to.
It's shining time, Bill.
No. Sorry. Should have knocked. Should have knocked. Didn't knock.
Talk to some of the parents who are concerned, exposing children to kind of sexualized content.
We're introducing otherness so they can be loving, accepting people.
Nothing sexual happening in here.
This is not about children. This is not about opening their eyes to this and making them see this.
This is a PG performance. Like it's family friendly. Completely PG.
Sorry about that, Dave.
I regrew my mustache and she knocked it off.
I know. I know. Is that what do you have on there? Did you guys don't give him the ribeye?
No.
Okay.
Well,
All right. Well, I guess I'll do it now. I rarely do any commercials on the outside of the show, but
Can I have it?
yeah, you can. Yes, you please do keep
Take
it. Don't
it,
put it
yeah.
back in the office freezer. Go to goodranchers.com/Crowder, and you can use a code Crowder at checkout. You get $30 off right now for because we're talking about Labor Day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Coming up soon. Are you guys going to be cooking? You get $30 off your first order, free shipping on any box, and you get it for life. We did this last Thursday,
right?
We did this last Thursday, and then
did.
the show got completely corrupted.
Yes.
And didn't work.
Because you heard like every other word, like when you're trying to get off a phone call.
Right.
Going.
Stelter was eating through the wires.
He was eating through the wires.
Yeah. Established that.
All right. Glad to be with you. We have a lot to get to today. I don't know if you know this, but science now, and actual guidelines for academic research journals no longer can be scientific. They have to be considerate, and if science could be seen as discriminatory, sexually, racially, based on gender, I guess that doesn't apply sexually at this point. The scientists are being advised to change it. We'll get into that. Also, new guidelines for COVID, what we can say and what we cannot say on YouTube. Did you know that?
Yeah, we can say more.
Yeah, so we can show the Aaron Rodgers interview
Oh, well, that's not.
that was on with Rogan.
Yeah.
We're allowed to do that now.
We not in the past.
So what else are we talking about today? Let me check here. We have...
We have all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh, that's right. Canada, LGBTQ. I don't know if you saw this. There's $100 million in Canada now going to fund the LGBTQ. But
Sort of.
they can't even get the acronym right. I'm going to read to you from a government-funded news entity in Canada, CBC, and 5 times in one article, they get the acronym wrong, which is a problem when you understand that Jordan Peterson came to power, came to success, came to the public eye because he refused to comply with language that they don't even follow themselves. So you comply or you can be fined or you can be put in jail. We actually have the language police in Quebec, by the way. That was an actual thing when I grew up. But they can't even get it straight themselves. So a lot to get to. Gerald A., how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
A little discombobulated today. We had a lot of stuff that we had to fix here.
Do you like my shirt, by the way?
What's your shirt say?
My mortgage identifies as a student loan.
Oh, that's cute.
I
thought it was
like
fun.
it and agree with it.
Yeah. I do like it.
It should right now.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you're giving away money.
Yeah. I mean, you forgive rent, but you don't forgive mortgages?
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
Just do the whole thing.
Oh, we want an entire permanent class of renters.
Yeah.
And by the way, I love him, you love him, fastest man on his feet. He's going to be with me, both of us, the two of us, Splitting the time in Houston on September 17th at the Smart Financial Center in Sugarland. You can go to ladoscutter.com/tour. Dave Landau, how are you, sir?
Ahoy, good. How about you?
I'm doing. Your eye healed quickly.
I know, it's crazy. It's the Good Ranchers.
That's right.
I mean, nothing will fix a good eye.
Well, that.
I'm sure that's not the slogan they want.
That and the fact that he was part of Weapon Dave X program. The adamantium helps.
True.
Don't tell
Can
anybody.
you pull that promo back up for Houston? Nothing like playing into the stereotype that Texas is nothing but farmland.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more like
It's
Indiana.
got like 8 million people.
Yeah.
I definitely look like somebody who would hit a gal in that photo.
Yes, you do.
Like, come on.
You would windmill.
Yeah. It's just
Like in the
like,
picture.
yeah, very
You guys all ride
flailing.
horses to the theater?
And to be clear, the head count is 4 million, but many of them
no,
in
I
Houston count as 2. So it's 8.
That's
It's true.
it's not 8, I know.
So we do. Okay, we have this right now. So before we get to anything else, we can talk about how trans women fail to look like real women all the time. But here's the thing: you've heard the term "barely passables." Trans men trying their best to pass too. You know, if that person were, it would be tough to tell that person apart from Sophia Loren.
It would. It's also her body was so feminine.
Yes. We have the thing coming up on Thursday, the drag queen story hour deal. It was actually at a distillery, which I'm surprised that kids were allowed. It was stripping for children. That'll be out Thursday. There are actually there's some more hidden camera footage that hasn't made it to the public eye yet. But I wanted to just at first we said let's do a public just stripping of straight people, an outdoor strip club with kids, and of course that would not be allowed. You can't. Because it would go against decency laws. But I thought what we can do is at least just have beautiful women and old strapping lads, and just have kids be like, hey, isn't that a pretty woman?
No.
Hey, ladies, doesn't that guy look like Prince Charming? And no, I'm not talking about scantily clad. And just watch people lose their minds. Now it's a problem just to recognize that people. Isn't it weird that Christian conservatives who didn't want the objectification of women, right? This was a whole thing when you look back in the day. They were saying, oh, you know what, rap videos probably shouldn't be for kids at this point. Now we're saying, oh, hold on a second. We probably need to show some more TNA of actual women.
Well, that would at least balance the scale.
Yes, it would balance it out.
Yes, well, yeah. Well, you mean real ones?
Yeah,
what did I just watch?
Well,
That's the only. What did I just watch?
Did I say that wrong?
What just happened?
Well, first of all, why does she get to have that body? If you want to be a man, you need to look like
Go
crap
for the
for a while.
average. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't just get to be perfect.
That has to
looking.
be an upgrade that's earned.
You would think so.
Where's your beer belly? Get some hairs that are in gross, awful places.
Yes.
Have some
And
moles.
smell bad.
Yes.
Smell awful.
Yeah, pepper some ingrown
I
hairs
mean,
in
you,
there.
you probably will after walking around wearing rubber all day.
Right.
But hey, go for a jog.
Just ask Michael Keaton. By the way, it's a live show, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern is the best way to tune in. I don't know if notifications are working. If you guys could comment below if you're on YouTube, let me know if notifications are working. A lot of you are saying that they have not. So you can watch us on Rumble or, of course, on Mug Club. You can download the podcast. Just don't rely on notifications. Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. That's the best way to tune in. All right, I'm going to move right on to Aaron Rodgers here.
No, this wonderful quarterback.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. I don't know Aaron Rodgers very much.
You don't.
I don't know anything about sports.
He makes a lot of
Phenomenal
money.
quarterback, yeah.
Okay.
I
He is?
promise.
He's
Yes,
good?
For real, yes.
Because he looks like CM Punk pre-tattoos.
He's very good. He's one of the best.
really,
in history.
really best, yeah.
Okay. No, I've heard he's very good. But he got a lot of flack, obviously, because he was unvaccinated a while ago. And at one point in time, we wouldn't have been able to really discuss this. Remember when we first covered the story, we had to be careful as to what we could say on YouTube, what we couldn't, because we were banned, we were suspended for discussing
That's me.
the COVID vaccines and the CDC numbers.
Shouldn't have done
The good
that.
thing is the rules have changed now.
Oh, good.
So we can show this to you this weekend on Rogan, which you've seen already, but I want to then refresh your memory on the controversy that surrounded Aaron Rodgers for a long time. He had some pretty interesting takes on what's happened with the NFL's absolutely insane COVID virtue signaling.
They didn't give a f***. You want to play football? Take this f***ing thing. and I want you to do it publicly so that I can get more money out of those other people that are thinking about it and they're on the fence.
Yeah, and then we're going to virtue signal to say, look how righteous our league is. We have 95% compliance.
Yes,
with the vaccine.
Compliance.
And if you don't, we're going to send a stooge.
It's like pre-bleached D. Snyder
to show you graphs.
Does look like a bit of a douche there.
Your vaccination
I'm just saying it just
percentage
doesn't look
of
like
your
a
team compared to the rest of the league,
No,
which
it's
actually happened.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the stooge like?
Oh, I mopped the floor with them.
Did you?
Yeah. See, again, that's why people are like, no one knew your vaccination status. You lied to your teammates. No. Day 3 of training camp, they sent this stooge in, and he showed these slides about what your vaccination percentage was in your team, where you compare to the rest of the league. And I started asking him questions liability. Oh, I'm not a lawyer. Okay.
The legal community will be stunned to find out you are not amongst them.
Yeah. I think were they watching tape on vaccination?
Yeah.
All right, team, sit down.
John Madden doing his play-by-play.
Yeah.
Hey, look here. This is where he takes the jab. Pow, right there. And he still gets COVID anyway. 4th booster. Wow. Right at center.
For some reason, his heart stopped. I have no idea why.
Got COVID brain. and we're going to get to then and now, but let me just give you, again, just so you have the full context, I recommend that you go watch the full Joe Rogan interview. Some really good stuff has been happening on his show lately. He continued to explain how the protocols in the NFL, and I will say this, rationalizing it in a way that you wouldn't always expect from a professional athlete.
Yeah.
So it's not because he's famous. I think he makes some good points, and he talks about specifically the protocols in the NFL and how they make no sense, poking holes in it. Here.
Well, it's not only going to affect your day-to-day status on the team, but your ability to get a job, your ability to keep a job, your ability to get a tryout if you get cut from this team, because you want to put a percentage above 90% of your team where you guys can have some sort of like special virtue. Like, look how amazing we are. We're above the 90% threshold here.
And then
they scared teams and said, if you had an outbreak caused by a non-vaccinated player, you not only forfeit that game if you had enough players out, but you wouldn't get paid for that week. And here I am showing up to training camp, Joe, the first day, and we got 5 people who work for the organization out with COVID, all fully vaxxed. And I got COVID from a fully vaxxed individual who only got vaxxed to keep his potential of being a part of the NFL.
And this is something that's important for everybody to understand, because I've heard some liberal commentators discussing, saying, oh, comedians want to be able to say whatever they want, but they're a very small percentage of the population. It doesn't affect you. Hold on a second. The ability to speak freely affects you. Oh, these star NFL athletes, it doesn't affect you. Oh, so they can't go out and make millions of dollars in the field. Hold on a second. It affects you in the same way if your employer or if the government decides to exert pressure on your employer so that you now lose your job prospects. Losing your freedom, and by the way, I don't mean sort of in a nebulous way, your very fundamental freedoms, bodily autonomy, right? The right to privacy. Of course, it affects all of you. This is one of those issues where it does help for someone who has a high profile, has a platform to speak out, because it affects, for every Aaron Rodgers, there's probably 10 million people who experience the same thing in this country, only they're on the unemployment line and they never get to tell their story.
They never made the money that Aaron Rodgers made.
Right.
Yeah. My wife was being faced with either get the vaccine or you lose your job.
I remember that.
And we'll talk about that in just a minute, how it affects pregnant women. And she was pregnant and nursing.
And I pay you like crap.
But I know. And I was just like, we can't do that. There's no way. But look, it takes an Aaron Rodgers to do that in the NFL. If you're a third-string quarterback trying to make the team, what his point was, third-string quarterback, it doesn't matter why you're not getting the vaccine. You could have a health condition, you have some history with vaccinations, you could have some other things that make it to where it's not a safe thing for you to do. And there was no out just because the NFL wanted to look good. It took an Aaron Rodgers who said, I'm one of the best quarterbacks in the league. What are you going to do?
Right.
To stand up to the league and say, no, I'm going to start pushing back. I'm going to start pushing back. Now, what they should have done is walked out. Mm-hmm. They should have gotten together with the Players Association and said, absolutely not. And guess what? Today, they would have been vindicated. Everybody would look back and go, they're right. They should have done that. But too many people played ball because they were worried about getting paid. and worried about being promoted and sponsored.
See what he did there to play
Everything
ball?
else.
Yes, I
See
like
that?
it.
No
His
pun
clever
intended.
T-shirts.
Yeah, baby.
You have a future in Pinterest, my
I
friend.
do.
Well, and meanwhile, with you have a
Etsy.
vaccination for CTE in the NFL. It's like, I've
Nope.
never even heard of that.
Yeah.
What's a concussion? Let's cover that up for 30 years.
Yeah,
Oh, you mean that crappy Will Smith movie? What?
Well, they're
What
trying
happened?
to make up for it, Dave.
Leather helmets.
Isn't it ironic that Will Smith starred in the film about CTE and then gave it to Chris Rock?
It's strange. I think he has it from Scientology.
Yes. How many times can you get electrocuted? Your thetans aren't high enough.
One more.
Who knew you could get it from a woman's glare?
Yes. No, it's the years of emotional abuse.
Yes, that's just. I think it's time America forgives.
Not Jada, though.
No.
If only for her.
I'm on Chris Rock's side. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on. We all saw the way she looks at him.
Yeah, we did.
You saying you wouldn't have gotten up and slapped
I'm still
Chris
upset
Rock?
about her crappy accent in Gotham. Like, what are you doing? Are you doing an Old South? Are you doing an English accent? Well, I don't know, but she has 6-inch fingernails.
It works.
Do you ever see that? She has it's like the exaggerated acrylic, like she's a velociraptor. It's like, just please. Anyway, the point is she's unattractive both inside and out, regardless of her balding. Now it's time to continue with Aaron Rodgers. This is important. Let's do a then and now segment. Is that System of a Down? No,
I don't think so.
this sounds like it could be.
All right. Aaron's the one playing it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's multi-talented.
I had no idea he was Armenian.
Yeah. Really?
I asked him, like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna run the ball down the field. Just say hot. Just say touchdown. Hot, no on the hot, no on the football, on the football.
Okay.
All right, we get it, Aaron. It's more Pearl. It's all about
It's all the same. I just hear it all as that.
He just looks at the left guard, doesn't like how he's playing. He's like, wake up! All right. I'm ashamed of myself. So let's go back to then, because it's important to. There you go. Don't expect better from this show today. Remember, everything went wrong when we did stuff and we switched to Rumble, and then we have to switch things back to YouTube, and so it's just YouTube is the bane of my existence. But I get it. It's like an abusive relationship. YouTube is my Jada.
Don't slap me.
Jada Tube.
Yes, Jada Tube. Pink it to tube. All right. So they've changed their policies now. But for you to appreciate it, you need to understand what came before you. So let's go back to then Aaron Rodgers. Of course, you already hit it. That's okay, Tool Man. You don't have to hit it every time I say then. You notice I said it softly? Because if I say the word then, he hits it. Like he doesn't.
Do it.
No, don't. Don't.
When will then be now?
Soon. Aaron Rodgers, of course, was ripped all over the media for his stance on masks and vaccines back in the day. And by that, I mean like yesterday.
Here's my issue with Rodgers. When he said the method by which he felt he was immunized, there's weak science. And by weak science, I mean peer-reviewed, double-blind, what's the sample size, et cetera. There's not strong evidence scientifically that he is
vaccine
immunized. And what that tells me is this, guys. It tells me that Rodgers, by the way, a lot like Kyrie Irving to me, they have intellectual pride. It's important to them that you think that they're smart, right? Okay. But Aaron, when you then get into basically quack
good thing
medicine,
you don't want
what
us
you're
to.
showing me is you really don't have the critical thinking abilities to pick which and choose which rules to follow.
Who is that guy?
It was a big sports.
One of the
talk
mics
show guy.
He's one of those guys. He just has one of those faces where involuntarily my fist is like
Clenches. Yes. No, that's true.
So that was then. Now, and this is why we're allowed to talk about this on YouTube. Isn't it wonderful? Yeah. The CDC's new COVID recommendations literally say unvaccinated people now have the same guidance as vaccinated people.
What?
YouTube recently removed a policy that stopped users from questioning the effectiveness of masks.
Quietly.
Now, let me just be clear about this. The reason they removed that is because they don't work.
It's freedom.
Wait.
I love being able to say it.
Do you mean that for like surgical procedures when put on with gloves?
I'm not exactly sure as to their guidelines. What I think they mean to say is something along those lines.
Oh, so they're not like for chocolatey hands in a dirty airport.
Right.
I see.
Or wearing it for the 17th day in a row.
Yes. Stuffed in your glove box
Made
next
of
to your
cloth.
Chesterfields.
Yes. Looks like a cheese-covered enchilada on your face.
Keep in mind, we got in trouble early on YouTube for saying that you actually can build, if you are sick yourself, make your own mask from a double layered antimicrobial pillowcase. And we said it's not going to be a filter, but it'll help keep you from coughing droplets onto other people.
Sure.
When the CDC said there was no effectiveness, right? And that was because of the PPE shortage. So we forgive them for lying to the public.
Right, yeah.
Just magnify it, right? Look at every natural disaster film. You can go to Dante's Peak. You could go to Deep Impact. You could go to any... What happens is the government lies because they don't want to be embarrassed. Sure, they did it with masks, and then they did it again with masks. But it was just masks, right? Well, hold on a second. They want to tell you this was the deadliest pandemic since... I don't know, I guess the bird Zika? I don't know. Zika, to me, from what I understand, it's
Zika
like
didn't kill a lot.
your kid gets born with a weird-shaped head.
Yeah, I'm sure it killed some.
Yeah. No, it's bad.
That's what I hear.
But my point is it doesn't affect me, so I don't care. So let's go back to then.
Yeah.
And this is something that was actually brought to my attention. Yakuza and Toolman were telling me about this because I had forgotten. I remembered the initial outrage. I remembered the initial opinion of this news anchor or doctor, I guess, on CNN. I didn't know what had transpired entirely. So back then, there was this resident COVID expert on CNN, Dr. Leanna Wen. And she shamed the people who didn't wear masks and called the unvaccinated. She actually called them untrustworthy. If that's not Orwellian, I don't know what is, but don't take my word for it.
And back in May, when they lifted the indoor mask requirement, I thought that the honor code was never going to work, that when vaccinated and unvaccinated people are mixing, unless there is proof of vaccination, everybody should still be wearing masks. And so I actually support what the CDC is now doing, which is going back to this indoor mask requirement, because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated, that they have been walking around without masks. And in fact, that's what led to the surge that we're seeing.
Oh, of course it did.
We can't trust the unvaccinated.
No.
Now, we would get in more trouble on YouTube if we quoted the CDC. And by the way, all references we make available at loudwithcreditor.com. You have the link in the description. You can go to the website. We always do. You may not agree, but we make all of the references publicly available. She was saying, don't trust the unvaccinated.
Yeah, and then claimed that the spike was because of them without any evidence suggesting it.
If you said that in a deep rural accent, it would sound like it was out of Mississippi burning.
Yeah. Right, yeah. We don't want to mix.
Yeah.
We don't want to mix them.
You won't come in one of them mixed people. My daughter brings home an unvaccinated. It's going to be real problems.
I want to look at my grandkids and see my face.
Yep, that's right.
Not some mixed face.
No.
Not some maskless mixed face.
I don't want my kid mixing.
Dumb broad. Now, this is where we are. Dr. Wen has changed her stance completely, and she says that masks are a personal choice. Her kids won't be wearing them. Let me read the exact quote.
Wait.
This is from the Washington Post. Dr. Leanna Wen.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Masking has harmed our son's language development, and limiting both kids' extracurriculars and social interactions would negatively affect their childhood and hinder my and my husband's ability to work. Okay, a couple of things here. And this is what the left is doing because midterms are coming up.
I'm sorry, is that the same woman?
It's the same woman. The woman against mixing.
Heavens.
Yes. Don't expect her at our local mixer.
That's odd.
Anytime
Our
soon.
language development, not being able to look at someone's mouth move.
Yep. She said, and because it affected her, speech issues with her son. This is one of those issues where, because we're going into midterms, they're now saying, well, there might have been some overreach, but here's their excuse. We couldn't know. Yes, you could have. How? Because people like Aaron Rodgers said there is science that at the very least runs counter to your science, if not refutes it. We had it on this show. We had medical experts on this show. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, removed that content. This idea that, well, we couldn't have known that masks would have negative effects. We cited the studies that showed you not only the kinds of negative social effects that masks had, but actual health effects with children if they were reusing masks because they were filthy, and the constant re-inhalation, right? The recycling of air, where you're talking about strep throat, you're talking about all these bacterial possible infections. We talked about this a long time ago. So for them to say, well, hold on a second, we did the best we could with the science we had. No. You did the most effective lying you could with the science you chose while excluding everything else, which you now are accepting. That's how you know it's arbitrary.
Yeah. You panicked. We had science from over 100 years ago that said lockdowns didn't work. And then the WHO actually said they didn't work initially. And then they changed their stance on it and said, yeah, this is a good policy for the world. We knew. And by the way, the video that we just played of her was 15 months into the pandemic.
Yeah.
We knew by then at the very least. Even if you want to, okay, fine. For the first 15 months, you didn't know. That's not true, but I'll give you that. Why did you make that comment in June of 2021 that you couldn't trust the unvaccinated?
Hey,
that it was their fault that we were having a spike? None of that was true.
My giant leather bird mask filled with potpourri worked just fine.
I like the ones with holes in them because you can breathe better.
Yeah.
Worked just fine.
Well,
Better masks.
she said not for her kids, but maybe for her. I think she might have suggested a Ziploc baggie.
Yes. You're not going to catch anything.
A nice wrap of saran.
You're not going to get nothing. You ain't going to catch COVID or your breath.
Nope.
Yeah,
won't be mixing.
Won't be mixing.
Won't be doing no mixing.
Ain't no vaccine.
I'm a doctor. I'm not mixing.
I want all vax babies, pure-blooded.
We're going to do a remake of Look Who's Coming to Dinner.
So let me give you also something.
The unvaxxed person.
Yeah. And here's something else that's telling is not only what they say, but how they choose to release the information, right, in the dead of night. We'll talk about on Mug Club them firing that FBI.
In the heat of the night with a vaxxed person.
Right, yeah. They call me Mr. Vax. So back then, of course, the American CDC, they said, and we talked about this on the show, they said, well, breastfeeding mothers may choose to be vaccinated, right? Mm-hmm. I said, well, we don't know. And you and I talked, your wife's a nurse.
Yep.
The policy is, if you don't know for sure, don't take it.
Right.
When you're pregnant. That's always, comment below. Anyone out there who has ever been pregnant, right, or is pregnant right now, what does your doctor say? If you say, hey, there's no long-term studies on this, should I take whatever, a vitamin supplement? Right. Should I take whatever prescription it is? Vaccine. The policy is, and it's a rule, by the way, something about the Hippocratic Oath, first do know, something or other. I forget the rest. Don't do it unless we know for sure if you're pregnant. That's always been the gold standard.
Yeah.
But they said, well, we don't know.
Or in absence of information that it's 100% safe.
Right.
Like we've done every trial we know how to do, and all of the data comes back and says, no, we haven't found a way yet for it to hurt you. Right now, they didn't have any of that.
But now, okay, the UK Health Department just quietly, again, in night published that the Pfizer vaccine, the biotech, whichever one, I can't remember, shouldn't be taken by breastfeeding mothers. Right. They said that also in 2020, I believe, with that one specifically. But other ones you could choose.
So in the UK, so I wanted to say this. We actually went back and found this. It's actually coming out now. People are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, this is there. We went in the Wayback Machine and found it in 2020. Do you remember hearing that?
Did it get scrubbed?
In December of 2020? Do you remember hearing that from the UK, saying that breastfeeding and pregnant women should not take the vaccine? Right. It's on their website. I don't remember hearing that. It would have been a major story.
Right.
My wife wouldn't have been forced by her work to get the vaccine while both pregnant and breastfeeding.
The big difference, though, is now on social media platforms, and you're allowed to say maybe it's not good for breastfeeding mothers. But back then, we couldn't say it.
No.
This is the problem. Like, look, at a certain point, when do you ever take accountability for banning information that, hey, if it saves one life, hey, if it saves one baby, if it saves one nursing mother, right? Well, where did that go? That only applies when you're talking about the Second Amendment, which, by the way, saves far more lives than it takes. If it saves one life, let's remove everyone's ability to defend themselves. Yeah. How about if it saves one life? The guidance said, and the gold standard was, hey, if you're breastfeeding and we don't know, don't put it in your body.
Yeah.
Now that information isn't a bannable offense everywhere where you consume information, meaning 90% of the information, Facebook. When I say that, I feel like I have to repeat it ad nauseum, but Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, that's 2 companies. Twitter, TikTok.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. With the CDC's information, you said that now, we can bring that overlay up. So the UK left that guidance up, right? So it's updated. They had an updated article. It has that guidance not to take it if you're breastfeeding, not because of adverse effects, but they don't know, just like you said, not the CDC. The CDC strongly endorses it's safe for breastfeeding moms and for pregnant women. CDC still has that on their website.
Now I don't know which science to trust.
Today they have it on their website.
Maybe
it conflicts with the UK.
Can we get that sportscaster with the bizarre doll's eyes?
We need that. Yeah.
To let me know which science I should trust. So, in other words, what you're seeing right now with Aaron Rodgers, this is the kind of thing where we would have had to tread lightly, just rebroadcasting what Joe Rogan, created. He conducted a great interview with Aaron Rodgers, did the same with Mark Zuckerberg. That was actually far more uncomfortable to watch. But if we were to simply relay to you that information, we have been. We were suspended, in the last year? Has it been 3 times, 4 times? One of which was for a CDC quote.
Yeah.
One of which was either masks or vaccines. And then the other one recently. Why were we suspended recently?
The last week?
Yeah, why was it again?
Kerry Lake.
Kerry Lake.
Oh, that was Kerry Lake, the election thing.
Well, we got suspended for the
don't
election
worry.
thing,
That'll
too.
change, too, by the way.
That, yeah.
If a Republican wins the next election, retroactively, you'll be allowed to discuss all of the election issues that don't exist. So just keep this in mind. Hold their feet to the fire. This is why we make all the references publicly available so that you can always contrast then and now. I've talked about. I'm not vaccinated. Are you, Gerald?
No, never will
Dave?
be.
With all the ones that work.
Yes.
Oh, so the Johnson & Johnson? You're a big fan?
Yeah, I got that.
J&J, baby.
Yeah.
Woo!
The one that doesn't need to be refrigerated?
I bought a lot of their stock.
Yeah.
I just bought stock in body bags.
Yeah.
We're going to need to have this show run until I'm 100.
I still have a lot of stock in AMC. I got in late on that one.
No, I was going to do it, and no.
Yeah. Hey, are we allowed to say that? I'm not telling you what you can do. Just sometimes people have asked. At one point, we weren't allowed to discuss this. That was also maybe running afoul of YouTube's guide. Think about that for a second. What is recognized and what is given the privilege of being a public utility, treated as a platform, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, they said, you may not even be able to say that you're not vaccinated because it may encourage people to remain unvaccinated. So it's a gray area. It's what we call borderline content. And by the way, you'll never know who determines that. But we do enjoy the protections and the tax haven of being a public utility.
It's actually really infuriating.
Yeah,
it really is infuriating that you're not, and especially this being America and the part that we live in. I don't know where they want to censor in other parts of the world.
Right.
But we should be allowed to say our opinions. We should be allowed to say the things that we want to say, and you certainly should be allowed to question anything that goes into your body.
Yeah.
There's no reason that this should have happened. And now they're looking back going, we may have overreached. You shut down the world.
Yeah.
You were going to say country,
You're going to
but
say
that
it
wasn't
might
enough.
have been an overreach. You ruined lives.
Right.
And you're like, we may have gone a little too far.
Amazon Prime was still able to deliver.
That's true. We saw the wealthiest increase their net worth by billions of dollars.
And now they're decrying it, by the way.
Right.
Robert Reich and his ilk are out like, I can't believe they're making all this money. Like, what?
The whole
we
world.
saw a lot of people just park the trucks in the middle of nowhere and go, this was easier just to collect a check.
Yes, exactly. The whole world was a reverse Motel 6 commercial. Like, we'll leave the light off.
Yeah. Yeah. That was always fun, too, when they were like, look, in every hotel you'd stay at, they're like, we can't clean the room for the 3 days you're in it. It's like, so you're not even going to pay the $5 to the labor force.
And now they still don't do it.
No.
Now they just trimmed it back, and they still don't do it.
They
still don't have room service. That was one of the few things as, crappy road comics, if we were lucky enough to stay in a hotel that had room service. Remember, you're like, oh, gosh, this is wonderful. No longer a thing.
Yeah, like, we can't. It's,
$18
COVID.
It requires us to work.
Yeah. We can't bring you a $48 hamburger.
Right. I'm not saying I was financially responsible.
No, nobody was.
But it was nice.
I also didn't want to walk downstairs.
Yeah, I know. Me neither. I mean, what am I? You can use my legs at 2 in the morning?
Come on.
I wanted them to give me some ice cream in bed.
So, Jack LaLanne. Right.
With his juicer where he was always yelling at his wife in the commercials. You ever notice there's like that little subtext, like they just clearly stayed married because it was a business? Like,
any commercial from the 50s, 60s, or 70s is just a man screaming at a woman.
Like, put the juice, put the carrots in there. I gotta do jumping jacks.
Yeah. My whore of a wife won't put the carrots in, but this juicer.
This juicer would work if my wife weren't an idiot.
Yes. I just got a new dishwasher because my old one's broken and his wife's paralyzed.
She says broken thumbs. They broke my thumbs, Jackie! Never gets old, the Pope of Greenwich Village. I don't care. This brings us now to, you'd like to think that the government is looking out for you. Mm-hmm. And by that, of course you don't. No. But, I mean, people like that sportscaster. What's his name?
I don't know. Mike Tirico.
It's Mike.
His name is Mike Tirico?
It's Mike and Mike. It's
Somebody help
popular.
Like the candy?
I think it's Tirico.
Oh, it's Mike and Mike.
Yeah, not Mike and Ike.
Ugh, I prefer the latter.
I know.
Is that Tirico?
Well, because at least it's 2 different names.
Yeah, well, also it serves a use. It's tasty.
No, not Tirico. Crap.
And
what is it? What's his name there, Tokonoan?
Mike Tirico is an African-American gentleman, so it's not...
Admonish him. Admonish him.
All right.
Quick to the admonish button there.
Mike Tirico's black?
I believe it's Clark Duncan.
Yes.
You ain't black.
Whoops.
Is it Mr. Clark Duncan?
You serious? Mike Tirico's black?
I told him you better leave the mask on, boss. I get a little scared of the unvaxxed sometime.
That's terrible. I don't know
sure do
sportscasters.
like
Sorry.
Aaron Rodgers cornbread.
Yeah. Only he's more of a Percy. I didn't know the sponge was supposed to be wet.
I didn't know the ball was supposed to be
This is Mike Tirico.
Oh, not even close.
Wow, that's
He's not even a. Well, he's
So what is this
I mean,
guy?
they
Do we
look
know who this
almost
guy's name
identical.
is? I don't watch. Keep in mind, I know
is
out
this
of
guy?
touch. Who is this guy?
This guy.
It's one of the
Mike
mics.
Greenberg, I think.
Oh, yeah.
of
Sorry.
course.
Oh, well, that inspires confidence.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
What
just
am I
wants
paying
people to
researchers
think
for? How
he's
long
smart.
did it take to find that guy's name?
You just Google
And he wasn't-
real full names of Mike and Mike.
What?
No, I did, but I don't think
Can
this
we
is
do
Mike
it on
and
my
Mike.
phone?
I don't think this is Mike and Mike.
All right, air support. I'm going to put you
Isn't it
guys
Mike
to
and
the
Mike?
test. I'm going to make a research
I don't
request, and
watch
you'll have
it.
30 seconds. Otherwise, I'll break
Okay,
off a
it's
pool
it's
cue.
Max Kellerman.
Oh, my bad.
Max Kellerman.
See, I was wrong completely.
Stephen quits.
You want me to go in third chair?
I didn't do it. I'll do it. I'll switch. I'm getting text a bunch
It
right
just-
now, which means my
it
friends
just
are
took
mad
us
at me.
10 minutes to find out the name of Max Kellerman.
I don't watch morning sports shows.
No,
all
not
year.
you.
He's
That's
the-
not your job.
He's the HBO.
You are blameless.
HBO boxing announcer.
You're a
Max
spotless
Kellerman.
lamb in this. Son of a...
He's the boxing announcer for
HBO.
HBO.
Oh, that's good.
That's Howard Cosell.
yeah. Come on, where is Howie?
He got vaxxed. All right. So,
He got myocarditis.
Nope.
oh no, I don't know if we can
I
say
said
that now.
myocard.
We have to wait another couple of
I
months.
said he bought my old car.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he bought your old Buick.
Yep.
Nothing like a used LeSabre.
No, that's what he loves.
Okay, so this is Canada, my partially home country. For people who think that I can't run for president, I'm never going to run for president, but it's not because I was born in Canada. I was born in Detroit. I was raised in Canada, to be clear, and I'm very ashamed of it. It's the silliest country in the world. I would love to see us, not a nuke,
No.
but like a biochemical weapon.
Can we just keep it?
Just take it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, just take it.
It's ours anyway.
Yeah, take it. You just, you get a few franchises, a couple of tugboats. They're Navy.
We're just going to run up the flag. What are they going to do?
So in Canada now, their Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. This is true. Just $100 million. This is a guy, by the way, who seized bank accounts, right, assets for truckers, who simply wanted to protest the lockdowns, which, by the way. We now know, according to the CDC, there should be no different guidance for vaccinated or unvaccinated. The truckers back then in Canada were saying, hey, you know what? We can't be treated like second-class citizens. We need to be allowed to work. Now, isn't it interesting that Trudeau is still flying in the face of the new science in a lot of ways, if you actually look at their policies. It's not on full lockdown, but there are different policies for vaccinated, unvaccinated. I don't know what their new policies as far as going in or leaving Canada, if they still have the quarantine.
I think it's still that way.
But it's certainly more strict than the United States and more strict than the CDC would actually recommend. So who's the science denier now? I don't understand the rule book. But I do know that he has another science pet project. That's $100 million as an action plan to support the 2SLGBTQI+. This is a real thing. I want you to hear it straight from the overly proud of himself Prime Minister of Canada's mouth. Okay, wrong clip. Sorry. We have the right one. Here he is, the 2SLGBTQI plus $100 million. And by the way, you need to understand that for Canada, that's the equivalent to like 50 trillion here in the United States, right? They do not have a lot of money.
Yes, no.
Here he is.
Our government has been committed to protecting the rights of two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and additional sexuality and gender diverse people. That's why I'm so excited today to announce a historic first, the launch of Canada's first ever 2SLGBTQI plus action plan.
Look at the flag! Pelosi should be wearing that shit like a scarf.
Basically, the flag is just a Cosby sweater.
I'd like to announce.
Yeah.
How long did he stand in front of the mirror to get that 2SLGBTQI plus?
I know, he rattled it off.
Just
like he was in the Wu-Tang Clan.
It's just a Nicole Eggert shirt from Charles in Charge.
And by the way, in case you needed any more proof that the left, that the progressive leftism is a religion, they've now included two-spirit. Because we've gotten so far away from the science, it's a spirit thing. No. We're no longer at biological sex. We're no longer even at social constructs of gender. It's a spiritual issue, two-spirit. I still don't fully know what it means.
I don't either.
I understand it to be a queer who's part Native American. No, that's not even a joke. That's my general understanding.
Is it really?
I don't know.
Well,
I haven't the foggiest.
He's included Two-Spirit, but he's put it at the end most of the time. Now they have jumped the line.
Yeah, he's giving them priority.
They're leading with Two-Spirit.
And here is actually
Two spirits, one cup.
Yes, this is him. This is him noting of the program from the CBC. And keep in mind, this is also government funded. CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. I grew up with this. And Trudeau won because he promised them more money than the other candidate. You need to know this. It was literally, when you watch the debates, one of them said, I promise an extra $100 million to the CBC. Why? I promise, indeed, $150 million to the CBC. Who do you think the CBC gave the better coverage to?
Mm-hmm.
So when people bitch about corporate media, at least you have different choices. There's nothing worse than government media. You don't need to go to Venezuela. So here's Trudeau, a quote. He said, 75% of the funding will go toward community organizations focused on diversity and inclusion because that's where the real work of support comes from. I don't even know what that means. I know the acronym 2SLGBT stands for Two-Spirit, Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, Intersex, and Additional Sexual.
I'm just glad you could explain it, because for a minute I thought it was something silly.
Yes. For a moment I was worried. It does remind me that we need to, guys, the interns pick up toilet paper for our new Two-Spirit bathroom.
One ply?
Two-Spirit ply.
Okay.
Now, the CBC, they heralded the plan as historic for the 2SLGBT community. Okay. Here's the thing.
Historic.
And by the way,
So
great
what,
work from
yesterday?
Ginger Snap, because I sent this to him and I said, hey, did you guys notice anything in this article? And right away, Ginger Snap's like, yeah, they used the wrong acronym like 5 times in a row. I said, yeah, can we just find a couple of other articles that likely do the same thing? And he's like, it took me 10 minutes. I found like 50. Which ones do you want?
Yeah, there's too many.
So the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, used 2SLGBT. Okay. But Trudeau clearly announced the plan was for the 2SLGBTQI plus community. CBC forgot the QI plus. That's the most important part. Luckily, they corrected their error in the very next paragraph and explained, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau unveiled a strategy dubbed Canada's first federal 2SLGBTQI plus action plan. Okay, so they used the right one. But then 5 paragraphs later, they screwed up again and used the acronym 2SLGBT. They forgot 3 of the letters / call signs.
QI plus.
QI plus.
And plus is just like whatever the hell else you think of.
So overall, the article switches back and forth 4 times in the announcement.
But you've got to get it right.
Exactly.
It just shows that no one knows anymore.
Right. And this is it's like they said, hey, we need to announce this with a release. Can we do it in a way that very pointedly undergirds Jordan Peterson's argument?
How quickly do you think the LG and B will be removed from this? Because they're like, we need to create an organization.
Well, I want to get to that in a second because I have my concerns.
Do you?
Well, there's been a few instances.
Yes.
Yeah.
There have been.
Yeah.
But the issue here is Bill C-16 was compelled it's hate speech if you don't use the right gender pronouns. Well, the CBC should be tried. They're not including the full acronym. How can you be forced to comply? This is the issue. It's entirely made up, just like the science isn't entirely made up, but is entirely, it's a very arbitrary selection process as to which science is legitimate. That's the theme of today's show. With COVID, they picked and they chose and they said, you better comply or we're going to ban you. We're going to make it so that you can no longer seek further employment. With language in Canada, can't happen here yet because of the First Amendment, but not if the left had their way. You think if the left had their way, they wouldn't have the exact same speech policies as Canada, which, by the way, resulted in a trial and charge of our comedian friend for a joke that was considered offensive. That's what happens in Canada. You have to comply. Yeah. Well, I have to comply with what? Whatever we use in that article at that time. You know how we said you can audit a ham sandwich, right? Anyone out there, you've committed several crimes today, most likely. That's the problem with a government that just creates laws on top of laws on top of laws. But it's very clear. It's not opaque with Canada. They can decide to jail you, or they can decide to charge you. They can decide to turn you into a criminal for not using the language that they made up that day, and they are not required to use even consistently themselves. Now, do you think that the government is going to prosecute the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation funded by the government? Yeah. Of course not. But you will. Jordan Peterson would. That's why he was a lightning rod for literally saying, I'm not going to do it. I won't be forced to use your language because you can't even decide on what it is. 4 times, 1 article. The reference is available at loudwithcredit.com. And this isn't unique.
No.
We checked out some other articles. Here's an article from The Hill. August. They randomly rotated between LGBT and LGBTQ, an article about monkeypox. Now, here's the thing.
Leave off the queer.
Yes. Think about this for a second. Why? This umbrella is too broad. This umbrella, LGBTQ. Can anyone think of something that would affect lesbians less than monkeypox?
No,
unless they're stealing your cock and using it like a lawn dart.
At this point, we should just throw S in there for straight, and we'll all be equal.
But that would be too many S's because there's the 2S.
Oh, right.
2S.
I forgot there's spirit.
You have to have a space.
Double S.
Think about this umbrella. I mean, if you did it with black people, you have black people. Some of them don't even accept Dominicans amongst their ranks who, to the untrained eye, you're like, oh, that looks like a black guy, right? We don't say all black people are the same, that a guy from Zimbabwe is the same as a guy from Haiti, right? We don't think that now, can you think of two? You mean to tell me that Gay William, who, by the way, is out there in the green room right now, our gay Latino to the right of Attila the Hun agent, is the same as some two-spirited Native American? They're all under the same acronym.
They'd probably put the asexual in there as well, the people who don't practice sex at all.
I don't even know. I know 98% of all monkeypox cases are, sex between two men, not with lesions, but specifically gay sex. So is the remaining 2% two-spirited?
Or reminds me, I shook his hand today.
Right. Yeah. Well, we have sanitizer.
Oh, good.
I diluted it a little bit because we ran a little low during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
It might just be some Tito's and aloe.
Is that why I want to drink?
Let me go. I can't even, unless I go back to my notes, it is 2SLGBTQI+.
What's the I for?
Intersex.
Oh, right.
I thought it was QAIP at one point because we had that show where we talked about it. Now they're just getting rid of letters wholesale.
Oh, yeah. No, as a matter of fact, we have it back in 2015. Back in 2015, I crashed a feminist film festival. I was escorted in my underwear. And I used as a kind of a joke, but not really, an acronym that is actually milder than this, and people accuse me of straw manning. This is me in 2015 with a crystal queer ball.
I've never seen so many super outbacks where they will be having breakout panels on rape culture, nerd culture, LGBTQAI, and a silent number 5. It's not really about women's rights. It's about transgenderism. It's about LGBTQAI and a silent extra Q.
Who could have known that I was only off by 3 numbers? I said 5. It's 2.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have the S.
Plus the silent
It's longer than I had.
I've never walked out of any movie and thought, there just wasn't enough heterosexual sex in this.
No.
I've never seen a movie for the sex unless it's, me alone.
Right.
What? Oh.
You know what I mean?
The Pee Wee Herman thing?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like in a theater.
Yeah.
Me and myself.
Think about that. That was a sex scandal back then. I forgot. What's the guy's name? Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman. Paul Rubens.
Paul Rubens.
Yeah.
He got caught in an adult film theater doing what people do in adult film theaters. Now, is it creepy? Is it gross? Sure.
Of course.
Is that a scandal? We now have drag queen strippers.
Yeah.
Well, now
at the Gymboree.
He's like, man, I just was ahead of my time, I guess.
No, and now it's positively quaint.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, thank God he just did it in the theater.
Yeah.
Purple Stallion.
You'd give him a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award and be like, it actually makes sense.
Yeah. Although for the optics, he won't get slimed.
Well, he's a protected class.
All right. Which, by the way, thank you. That's a great segue. This brings us to the diversity hire of the week. All right, Gerald, because I know nothing about sports. What's the name of this tennis player?
Novak Djokovic.
I think you got that wrong.
I didn't.
So I guess he's one of the world's greatest tennis players. And just like we talked about with Aaron Rodgers, he's been refused entry to the United States due to his unvaccinated status. Apparently they didn't read the new CDC guidelines.
Well, and it starts with a D. The D's silent, hillbilly.
Is it? No mixing.
Ain't no mixing. This is like the Greg Louganis thing, really. He's on his own side of the court.
You would think so.
Who's he hurting?
Wait, that's the opposite of Greg Louganis. He was in a pool.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean,
that affects
just saying, like,
everybody. He hit his head on the diving board and bled throughout the pool.
Well, yeah, but you aren't going to get AIDS from that.
It looked like when the foot fell from the rowboat in Jaws.
You know what's crazy? He's still alive.
I know.
I thought he was dead.
I know. We wrote a whole sketch about
a
it.
whole sketch we wrote, and then it turned out
we found out he's alive.
Yeah. We couldn't use the sketch on the fact that we thought he was dead.
Yeah. But honestly, I'm kind of disappointed. Greg Louganis is still alive. Not that he doesn't deserve to be alive. It was a good sketch.
It was a good sketch.
No, it's good that
It'll
he's
have
alive.
to wait.
Yeah.
So if you're noticing a trend,
Probably
you
not long.
have Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so you have this tennis player not allowed entry in the United States. And I know that if you've been watching the show from the beginning, you're saying, well, that doesn't make sense because we just talked about how the vaccinated should be treated the same as the unvaccinated. And I'm even allowed to say it on YouTube. Look, we haven't even been suspended because the CDC says it's okay. Well, the diversity hire here is, does she pronounce it Karine Jean-Pierre? How does she say it? Karine Jean-Pierre.
Say it that.
She was asked why illegals are welcome to enter the country if they're unvaccinated, but the world's greatest tennis player is not. And it seems like a valid question, and you would think that she would have an answer that, is in the realm of making sense. Absolutely not.
How come migrants are allowed to come into this country unvaccinated, but world-class tennis players are not?
You're talking about which world-class tennis player?
Novak Djokovic.
So as far, just since you asked about him. So visa records are confidential under U.S. law. Therefore, the U.S. government cannot discuss the details of individual visa cases. Due to privacy reasons, the U.S. government also does not comment on medical information of individual travelers as it relates to the tennis player.
To those asking, she's not retarded. Now,
you sure?
She did give it her level best on the second go around to answer the question. And if you're thinking, okay, so this one's going to be better because, strike two, absolutely not.
So they're two different things.
But how is it two different things? Somebody unvaccinated comes over on a plane. You say that's not okay. Somebody walks into Texas or Arizona unvaccinated. They're allowed to stay. Why?
But that's not how it works. Like we actually no.
I know that that's not what you guys want to happen, but that is what is happening.
But that's not. It's not like somebody walks over and that's not how.
Exactly what's happening.
They climb.
Thousands of people are walking in a day. Some of them turn themselves over. Some of them are caught. Tens of thousands a week are not. That is what is happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how she's not prepared for this, considering that this was the policy that was released from the White House.
Listen, these documents are confidential, except, of course, he shared them with you.
Yes, and it told the entire world that he was not going to be able to play tennis because you wouldn't let him in because he's unvaccinated.
Also, the fact that we publicly released the policy that unvaccinated immigrants would be treated the same. So I don't understand the question, and I won't respond to it. Not because I'm a black lesbian, but because I'm horrible at my job. And that's been the Diversity Hire of the Week. Has nothing to do with black lesbianism.
Hold on. Can you
gotta
believe
think
that she was handed like, okay, here's your answer. We just don't talk about that. But he's told the whole world. Yeah, but we don't talk about that.
She makes me miss Jen Psaki.
I know. God.
Jen Psaki's got to just be like, yeah, there, you like that now?
And you wonder
At least I
why
would have
people
made
don't
something
trust our institutions. The spokesperson for the White House, for the President of the United States, says we're not going to discuss something that is public knowledge from the other individual who has waived any confidentiality problem at all.
Well, a true lady doesn't strip of fundamental rights and tell.
No. I'm surprised
she's
she
not
just
a lady.
doesn't answer everything by just going, I'm a lesbian. Next question.
And if you have a problem with that, it's because you don't like lesbians.
Is she a lesbian? I don't know.
She is a lesbian. She has a wife.
Yeah, I know. She
But is
says
she-
that.
You think it's a beard the other way?
Yeah.
Well, maybe she swings around.
I think it's a big old muff to throw us off the scent.
That's
Yeah.
true. Whenever she's that bad at her job, she's got to have something going for her.
Yeah. It's a decoy beaver. Now,
throw us off the scent.
That'll be the biggest outrage of the show right
It
there.
real a decoy beaver. That's
Yeah,
a
people
new
will
term.
be mad.
We're gonna have a shirt made of that.
I don't care. Go build a
decoy
dam,
beaver.
shut yourself in. Now, it's a little marsupial humor.
It's literally a beaver.
It's a niche.
It's just, you look over, there's just like a woodchuck in Wearing Doc Martens.
How much Karen Jean-Pierre would a Karen Jean-Pierre chuck if a Karen Jean-Pierre... It's a tongue twister.
Welcome
which
home.
is what she does.
Just a bunch of wooden house on a river.
Yes, but why does your home look like lemony snickets on a creek bed? I'm a lesbian. I'm sorry, no further questions.
No, well, go ahead.
We eat mostly berries.
Yes. By the way, smash the like button if you're okay with what you've been watching. Smash it. Smash it.
Or even if you're not.
Take it.
How did
like
she,
it.
How?
Love it.
I'm not even going to say how did she get the job. We could move right on from there.
Because she's a fantastic thing.
No, I think it's just because she knows how to answer questions.
Yes.
Yeah, she speaks really well for other people.
Spin
of power.
City.
Do you think it's almost like, you know how when you have comics who they don't want someone good to open for them?
Correct.
Do you think that's why Joe Biden was like, have her speak for me?
Oh, yes.
I need somebody that's going to make me look
He saw Kaylee McElhinney and he was like, I can't follow that.
No way.
And it really is true, by the way. Dave talked about this. Like when we do these shows too in Houston, Phoenix, like we'll switch. Either sometimes Dave will go up or I'll go up and kind of switch when we do the same amount of time. It makes you better. Knowing if ever I follow Dave, I'm like, well, I better bring the A game because otherwise I'm going to absolutely bomb. But not if I had like the comedic equivalent of Carrie and Jean-Pierre.
Well, yeah, you don't want crap in front of you. And you shouldn't. I hate when people do that. It's like, oh, I just bring somebody off on the road and give them money.
Right.
Why would you encourage that?
Like Dice?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, you suck. Want to open for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's $200. Give me 20 minutes.
Oh.
All right.
Do
we have time to get to this? All right. I think it ties this together pretty nicely. Science is just, let's just put the final nail in the coffin. It's dead. So Nature magazine published a new guideline on August 18th that basically destroys the ability for the scientific community to conduct any type of research.
Well, good. They're not using it.
Right.
They're just making proclamations.
So, and they even actually address this because you would think that, hey, the scientific process, and this is why I love seeing this. I love seeing this house of cards come tumbling down. Remember when you had the Dawkins of the world or the Sam Harrises of the world, where they act like the scientific process, right, is foolproof, that it's not subject to human error,
right?
And it becomes more and more subject to human error the more humans become involved with this process, namely bureaucracy. Look at what happened, and this is not new. Science has been used to justify all kinds of atrocities. People always say religion's the cause of all wars. Religion had nothing to do with Hitler, by the way, just to be clear. Hitler sometimes tried to appease Christian people, even though he wasn't himself. It was largely based on science. That's how he othered the Jews. He talked about hereditary diseases. He talked about communicable diseases. It started with science. They're unclean. They're a danger. So this idea that science cannot be used when falsely applied as a form of control of your population, well, it flies in the face of not only science, but history. But they actually say this out loud at Nature magazine. They say, although academic freedom is fundamental, it is not unbounded. This is a scientific argument of, well, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, right? First Amendment.
Oh, geez.
That's what they're trying to do. What do they say? They say, okay, people can be harmed indirectly, meaning science. For example, research may inadvertently stigmatize individuals or human groups. And this is where it gets hilarious. Sorry, I meant scientific.
Terrifying.
It may be discriminatory, racist, sexist, ableist, or homophobic. It may provide justification for undermining the human rights of specific groups simply because of their social characteristics. Then they go on to say potential harms to the populations studied may outweigh the benefit of publication. So, this can mean no published research, by the way, for gender, sexuality, obesity, racially linked diseases. For example, sickle cell is something that obviously is... and by the way, I don't think black people are saying, don't study sickle cell. That's racist. I would think they'd like a fix to sickle cell. I'm French-Canadian. There are a bunch of actually hereditary diseases that are exclusive to the Acadian and French-Canadian bloodlines. Also, that's the reason we had so many strongmen. There's a guy named Louis Cyr had the same hereditary condition that Eddie Hall has regarding myostatin. It's basically a chemical that tells the sausage casing of your muscles. It tells it to stop growing too much muscle. And if you don't have that, your muscles can just grow. Louis Cyr had it, and a guy like Eddie Hall had it. And these all come from the Acadian, French-Canadian bloodline. It's not that we're saying they're lesser than. We are saying that people of different ethnicities have different, sometimes nutritional requirements. Vitamin D is different in white people and black people, but that might be discriminatory. You can't study any disabilities, sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS, HIV, monkeypox, gun violence. You can read the article. So if we're not supposed to study any of these things, It's bullshit? Is it just science now is
opinion?
Yeah.
Leftist opinion. Leftist opinion, yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah. They don't want to study anything anymore.
And go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, by the way, they might want to maybe look into the monkeypox thing because there's kids getting it.
And lesbians.
And dogs getting it.
And lesbians because they've just been Lorena Bobbiting and javeling it.
Yeah, they're like the one lone lesbian in the world. Just play the lottery. You'll probably hit that first.
Yes, we have an epidemic of lesbians shot-putting penises into other lesbians, riddled with monkeypox.
You know that thing they hate.
Look, if you're going to cut it off, recycle.
And here's the thing. This is not a joke. We have all of the references available. Today is probably one of the most important days.
Not one research diseases.
No.
It's fat pride only put on steroids.
Yeah.
I'm just glad being Italian and Irish, we're not prone to anything.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Like alcoholism and obesity. Anger.
And being loud.
No, never.
Just being obnoxious.
Have you ever heard of a loud Italian person?
Freckles.
Never once.
With the Irish.
No, I don't think I've ever seen that.
So this is probably one of the most important days for you to check the references because I know that what I'm saying sounds unbelievable. And it's always funny because you will hear critics of the show say, well, they don't even list their... No, we always list the references. And I don't always list them on Twitter. If you want to know what we're actually saying about a subject, come and watch the show. Don't just take a tweet. It's the worst platform, Twitter, Instagram, to actually communicate your thoughts. Of course, sometimes things have to be edited down that don't include the entire context. Every show, every day, we provide all of the resources to you. And I know that some of this seems like we're making it up. This is real. We actually have to worry about the feelings of microbes as well. I'm going to read a quote so you know I'm not lying. These guidelines apply to studies involving humans, vertebrate animals, and cell lines. That's what they actually write. So, sorry, queer spirulina. I'm sorry that we have...
I didn't see that yet.
I was debating with going with that or chlorella because it might be more accurate since it's an actual single-cell walled organism, whereas spirulina is what they would consider open. Or I was toying with the idea of a blue Klamath Lake algae. It's a genre of humor.
I think the Leatherman is the way to go.
Yes, the Leatherman
I just love
spirulina.
that in the Village People, everybody was a job, and it was just so prone back then that Leatherman was too.
It's like, oh, does he work with leather? Like, is he a tanner?
No.
He just hangs out in San Francisco in the meat district.
Right. And by the end, it was really more Vinyl Man. Wasn't wearing a full grain.
Yeah, you really couldn't afford all that.
No, he couldn't. Like, I'm Vinyl Man.
You can't ruin your leather every weekend.
You have to treat it, rub Obanevs on it. The point is, it's too expensive, and so, you know what? You let them do what they do. We're actually going to talk more about this and also some speculation regarding the FBI recently and Thibault, the guy who was just sort of escorted. And I will tell you, I would not feel comfortable discussing it on YouTube because not all of the information is in. We have to make some inferences. So that is your warning. And we're going to take your chat. YouTube, thank you very much. We will see you tomorrow. But right now, piss off.